This morning when I woke up, there were 6,000 bays in our dealerships with no technician. So can't get my car fixed. Nope. 2 weeks. Average wait is 2 weeks. Not because we don't have the parts.
At the end of 2025, a statement from Ford's CEO shook up the entire auto market. America is facing a severe shortage of auto mechanics, and now with more than half of 2026 already gone, the situation has become even worse. Auto mechanics are leaving the industry in large numbers. Even more concerning, experienced mechanics are telling younger people not to get into auto repair. Why? There are too many reasons. The pay is too low to cover tuition, tools, and living expenses. While Ford's CEO made nearly $27 million last year, the average mechanic earned only about $23 an hour, and new cars are becoming so complicated that even skilled mechanics are giving up. They are expected to fix vehicles faster, while the technology and design of new cars become more ridiculous by the day. Today, let us explore the sad reasons thousands of auto mechanics are walking away from the job. You will see the hidden side of this profession, the increasingly bleak picture of the American auto market, and why cars are slowly becoming a luxury item. Whether you own a car or work in auto repair, this is a video you cannot afford to miss. A highly skilled job that pays far too little. Auto mechanics look pretty cool, right? When I was a kid, I always thought they were really cool. All they had to do was hear a strange noise, look under the hood, and grab a few tools, and they could bring a machine back to life when all an ordinary person could see was wires, hoses, and metal. As I got older, I used to think this job must pay really well. After all, everyone who owns a car will eventually need a mechanic, and when a luxury car costs that much, fixing just a few cars a month should be enough for a mechanic to live comfortably without worrying about rent or food. But if you ever thought the same way I did, this story may shatter that illusion.
What amount of money would you have to be given to quit being a mechanic? You can't work on things for the rest of your life.
$20.
Shane,
Yeah.
what amount of money would you have to be given to quit being a mechanic? You can't work on things for the rest of your life.
I like what I do. I'd say like at least 200K.
200?
No, pay off my tool bills. That's about it. Probably like 30 grand and I'm done.
See that these auto mechanics could easily leave their current jobs if someone gave them enough money, even if that money only covered the cost of the tools they had bought. That also means their income is far too low, and think about it. Before you can become a mechanic who earns money from repair jobs, you have to pay for training. Then you start working at a dealership with low starting pay. After that, you keep spending your own money on the tools you need to do the job. Meanwhile, someone who understands machinery, can diagnose problems, and knows how to work with their hands has more than one option. They can move into forklift repair, heavy equipment, or industrial systems.
Like when I left the automotive world to go work on forklifts, the company I went to work for offered me more hourly than what I was making flat rate at the dealership, plus actual time and a half for anything I worked over 40 hours, plus 401k, plus insurance. It wasn't even a comparison. There's no way that I could say no to that offer.
This mechanic left the auto industry and started repairing forklifts. The new job pays more, offers overtime, pay insurance, and a 401k. Put the two jobs side by side and he barely had to think about it. That is the reality. We see a repair bill for a few hundred or even a few $1,000s and assume the mechanic must be making a fortune. We see them standing next to a car worth $50,000 or $60,000 and assume that level of skill must be paid extremely well. But the price of the car on the lift does not mean the hands repairing it are being paid what they deserve. To enter this profession, simply loving cars is not enough. You have to learn mechanics, electrical systems, diagnostics, and how to work with systems that keep getting more complicated. You need your first set of tools, then a toolbox, then more specialized tools for different jobs. To put it bluntly, many people are already in debt just to have enough equipment to work before they ever earn a decent paycheck. Whatever they make still has to cover rent, food insurance, healthcare, and family expenses at the end of the month. On top of that, the mechanic has to keep spending money just to keep up with the job. The salary on paper may not sound low, but after tuition, tools, and a long list of monthly bills, what is actually left can be very little. More importantly, those same hands and that same mind can earn more money in another industry. That is the first reason skilled mechanics are slowly leaving the field. They have to learn too much, invest too much, and carry too much responsibility, while the money they receive does not match what they put in. And if you already think that is unfair, wait until you see how this industry calculates labor hours. That is the kind of pressure that makes many people decide they have had enough. Flat rate, the clock that is eating away at mechanics' pay. If someone works 8 hours, they should obviously get paid for 8 hours, right? Not necessarily in auto repair, and this mechanic will show you why flat rate pay can become one of the most frightening things for technicians.
It wasn't even close. So you're going to take a kid out of college and tell him, well, okay, we're going to pay you, what, $18 an hour flat rate until you get your feet wet and you learn some things. Oh, by the way, you got to buy tools. Oh, by the way, we're pretty much going to rip you off on every job you do. And oh yeah, the warranty jobs, which is half of what you do, you only get paid half time for those.
Flat rate sounds pretty simple at first. Every job is assigned a set number of labor hours. If the book says the job is worth 6.5 hours, the mechanic gets paid for 6.5 hours, no matter how long the job actually takes. Finish it in 3 hours, great. You still get paid for the full 6.5 hours. On paper, this rewards experience and speed. But what if it takes 8 hours because of rusted bolts, stuck parts, or because someone previously repaired the vehicle incorrectly? Sorry, you still only get 6.5 hours. The problem is that a real car does not read the labor guide. It may have spent 10 years on the road, covered in rust, taken apart carelessly in the past, and hidden several additional problems that nobody could see at the beginning. But it does not stop with one rusted bolt. I asked a friend who is a technician replacing a heater core, and he explained it with an example that was even harder to believe. If the customer pays directly, the job is rated at 8.3 hours, but if Ford pays under warranty, it is rated at only 4.9 hours. The same car, the same part, the same dashboard that has to come out, the same mechanic, the only difference is who is paying. Customers hear the word warranty and think the manufacturer is covering the cost, but according to the mechanic, part of that cost does not disappear. It is simply pushed down onto the technician's paycheck. Then the industry turns around and asks why young people do not want to stay. Flat rate does more than pay for a job. It transfers the risk of the vehicle, the warranty, and unrealistic labor times directly onto the mechanic. And the most ironic part is that the system is forcing them to work faster, while automakers are turning vehicles into electronic mazes that are more complicated than ever. New cars are turning mechanics into reluctant software engineers. Do you remember the previous video where I put together complaints from people who wanted to return their new cars? They said the cars they had just bought were already showing warning messages, the screens were confusing features, worked only some of the time, and small problems kept appearing, but that was only the story from the driver's seat. Now step over to the other side of the garage door. The buyer sees one warning light. The mechanic sees an entire electronic maze behind it.
They are built to be scrapped and not repaired. We're not that far removed from having trucks like this that were so simple to repair. That headlight comes in, goes out. All these switches and this panel can all be replaced. This is all separated. On this door panel,
The mechanic in the clip says today's cars are no longer just 4 wheels and an engine. They can contain dozens of computers to the point that technicians are becoming more like software engineers than mechanics. That may sound exaggerated, but he is not exaggerating. The wrenches are still there, the lifts are still there, the grease is still there, but those things alone are no longer enough. Now a mechanic also needs a laptop, a scan tool, wiring diagrams, diagnostic software, and knowledge of countless control modules. The engine has its own computer, the transmission has its own computer. Then there are audio systems, navigation, suspension cameras, sensors, climate control, and all kinds of other features. And all of them communicate with each other. A lot of people think you can simply plug in a scanner and the car will confess exactly what is wrong with it. If only it were that easy. Sometimes a trouble code only tells the mechanic which system is calling for help. It does not necessarily identify the exact part that failed. The mechanic still has to check wires, connectors, power supplies, sensor signals, and related modules. A bad sensor in one place can make a system somewhere else go crazy. The computer does not always provide an answer. Sometimes it only gives you another puzzle, and the flat rate clock we talked about earlier is still running. The buyer thinks I just paid this much money. Why is the car acting like this? The mechanic thinks I did not design this mess, but now I'm the one who has to explain why it is not fixed yet. They stand on opposite sides of the service counter and may be frustrated with each other, but the truth is that both of them are trapped in the same problem, and this is not just the story of one automaker. As I kept looking into what mechanics were saying, the names that came up often included Volvo, Volkswagen Group, Jaguar, Audi, BMW, some French vehicles and models using GM Ecotec engines. They complained about cramped engine compartments, limited service information, too many wires, turbochargers, electric water pumps, and design differences from one brand to another. That does not mean every vehicle from those brands is bad or impossible to repair. These are still the experiences of individual mechanics. But the troubling part is not one Volvo, one Audi, or one specific engine. The troubling part is that this kind of design is spreading across almost the entire market. To be fair, technology is not always the villain. New cars can be safer, more comfortable, and better at managing multiple systems than older vehicles. But every time the manufacturer adds one feature, the owner gets one more button to press, while the mechanic may get 10 more things to inspect when that button stops working. The car is called smarter, but when it breaks down, neither the owner nor the mechanic feels any smarter. When mechanics have to solve those electronic puzzles every day, while the flat rate clock keeps chasing them, they do not just get tired. Many of them also lose their love for cars, the very thing that brought them into the profession in the first place. When a passion for cars turns into burnout, a bad day at work does not just leave a mechanic tired, it leaves them coming home with no energy left to talk. Their days off are spent only recovering, and after a while, they do not want to see another car at all. That is the most frightening kind of burnout.
So by the time the weekend comes, you need an entire day just to reset and recover. And for a lot of us, that isn't even an option, especially if you have a family, your kids, you have things to take care of, house chores.
One mechanic said that after working Monday through Friday, he had to spend nearly an entire weekend day just recovering. Some days he came home and did not want to talk, did not want to shower, and did not want to do anything at all. But when you have children, a family, and chores waiting at home, even lying still for a whole day is not easy. I think many people who work with their hands will understand that feeling. Of course, the body pays a price too. Years of bending over, kneeling, lifting heavy things, and working in awkward positions slowly make back pain, sore wrists, and aching knees feel normal. Some people are only 30 but say their bodies feel 70. But the physical pain may not be the worst part. The worst part is coming home with no energy left for the people waiting for you. Your child wants to play, your spouse wants to talk, there are still all kinds of things to do around the house, but your mind just wants to shut down for a few hours. I once heard a story about someone whose father was a mechanic. When he was young, he could not understand why his father loved cars so much, but never wanted to touch the project car at home. Later, he understood his father had not stopped loving cars. He had simply used up all his patience and energy on other people's cars. That is the part I find the saddest. Many people enter this profession because they truly love cars. They enjoy finding the problem, fixing the right thing, and hearing the engine run again. But when daily pressure from time, money, and increasingly complicated repairs keeps wearing them down, that joy slowly disappears too. In the end, the very thing they want to avoid is the same thing that made them choose the profession in the first place. Honestly, I do not call leaving the profession giving up. When a job takes your health, your time with your family, and your joy walking away can sometimes be the smartest decision. And if too many people only feel alive again after leaving the dealership, then the problem clearly is not them. Dealerships are driving their best mechanics away. Dealerships say they are short on mechanics. Cars are sitting and waiting, repair schedules are backed up, customers are frustrated because they have to wait weeks before anyone can inspect their vehicle. But I think they are asking the wrong question. Do not just ask why people do not want to enter the profession. Ask what reason this profession gives the people already in it to stay. A friend of mine who works as an auto mechanic told me that a dealership can charge a customer nearly $200 for one labor hour, while the technician actually repairing the vehicle may receive only around $19. He also has to bring thousands of dollars in tools and years of experience. The customer sees the $200 figure and assumes the mechanic must be making a fortune. The mechanic looks at his paycheck and can only laugh. Look closely. They did not design the car. They do not set the price of the parts. They do not decide how much the customer has to pay. They do not write the warranty policy. They also do not decide how many hours a job is worth. They have the least control, but they are the people who have to make every decision above them actually work. And this system also turns the customer and the mechanic against each other. The customer is angry because the bill is too high. The mechanic is angry because he receives too little. The customer is upset about waiting. The mechanic is upset because the shop is short-staffed, but the schedule is still packed. The customer wants to know why a small problem costs thousands of dollars. The mechanic also wants to know why he has to solve it within a few limited hours. The two sides stand face to face, both frustrated while neither one created the rules. One side feels like too much is being taken. The other side feels like too little is being paid. So who benefits from the difference? We all know the answer. That is how the people at the top make their wallets thicker. Then there is warranty work. A warranty helps sell the car in the showroom. It makes customers believe that if something goes wrong, the manufacturer will take responsibility. But when the time comes to honor that promise, the shop gets the trouble and the mechanic often pays with their own time. Some people in the profession say warranty work is exactly what made them leave the dealership or even leave auto repair completely. Then after all of that, people still ask, why does nobody want to be a mechanic anymore? Do they really not know the answer? Do not just ask why new people are not coming in. Ask why the people who already came in are constantly looking for a way out, and the best workers usually have the most ways out. They can move into truck repair, industrial equipment, heavy machinery, corporate fleets, or another technical job with more stable hourly pay. Their skills do not disappear. They simply take those skills somewhere that knows how to pay more for them. So the system is not just losing people, it is losing the exact people who are hardest to replace. And sadly, the next people who will pay the price are car owners, people like you and me. What happens when there are not enough people left to fix your car? At this point, you may still think mechanics quitting is a problem between technicians and dealerships. It is not. When shops are short-staffed, car owners are the ones who keep calling and cannot get an appointment. Wait weeks before anyone can inspect the vehicle and continue making payments on a car sitting still in a parking lot. Meanwhile, you still have to go to work, take your children to school, go to medical appointments, and buy the things your family needs. The dealership can schedule you for 3 weeks from now. Your life cannot stop for 3 weeks. That is the first problem. Waiting is not just annoying, it can disrupt an entire family's routine and income. But what is even more frustrating is that even when the car is not running, its payments keep running right on time. The loan payment is still due, insurance still has to be paid, you may have to pay for a rental car and then lose more income by missing work before you even know the final repair cost. Simply put, you are paying for a car you cannot use, then paying even more for transportation to replace it. And this is the part that makes me feel car owners are losing control. Most clearly, you own the car, but when it breaks, you do not get to decide when it will be inspected, when it will be repaired, or how much you will finally have to pay. A shop accepting the car does not mean it has the right person to repair it. A simple mechanical problem may be handled fairly quickly, but if it is an electrical problem, a software problem, or a system connected to several modules, the car may have to wait for the specific technician with enough experience. After a few experiences like that, many people start doing something completely understandable, ignoring problems that have not stopped the car completely. The camera does not work. Deal with it later. The sensor gives false warnings. Turn it off. The screen keeps flickering. Live with it for now. The air conditioning is weak. Wait until there is enough money to fix it. So, what are you supposed to do? Keep driving and hope for the best, or leave the car at the shop and figure out your own transportation without knowing when you will get it back? That is the real concern. It is not only that the car might break, it is that when it does, there may not be enough people to repair it, enough time for you to wait, or enough money to handle every extra cost at once. And that is why more people are no longer asking only how many screens or smart features a new car has. They are starting to ask more practical questions. When it breaks, who will repair it, how long will it take, and will I still have enough money to get it back? As the answers become more unpleasant, keeping an older car that is already paid off starts sounding much more reasonable. Keeping an old car, the buyer's quiet rebellion. Honestly, I understand why more people look at new cars and decide to keep the keys to their old one. It is not necessarily because they cannot afford to replace it. They simply do not see a reason to borrow tens of thousands of dollars for a car that is more complicated, harder to repair, and makes them more dependent on the dealership. Of course, I am not romanticizing old cars. They still break, still rust, and can still create painful repair bills. But many people would rather spend money repairing a car they understand than start a new loan for a vehicle that needs special software, special equipment, and the right dealership every time a warning appears. This is not about nostalgia. It is a very practical calculation. If you pay more money but have less control, where exactly is the progress? For many people, keeping an old car does not mean falling behind. It is a way to keep their money, their freedom, to choose where it gets repaired, and their ability to understand the property they own. But that control only exists if car owners and independent repair shops still have access to parts diagnostic data and the software they need. If everything is locked away, the question will no longer be whether you should keep your old car or buy a new one. The question will be, you paid for the car, but do you actually have the right to repair it the way you choose, from cars to phones? Do we really still own what we buy? A modern car is no longer just an engine, wheels, and mechanical parts. It is also software accounts, activation codes, and access permissions. You may have paid the full price for the car, but when it needs repair, the mechanic you trust may still have to wait for the manufacturer's system to grant permission. And the more closely I look, the more I see that this is no longer only about cars. The phone in your pocket, the laptop on your desk, the printer in your home, and the smart devices around us are all moving in the same direction. Batteries are becoming harder to replace. Parts may need software approval. A device may still be sitting in your hands, but for it to work completely, you depend on the app account or server of the company that sold it. I find it very difficult to call that full ownership. Simply put, the right to repair does not require you to take apart your own engine or replace your own phone screen. It only means you get to choose who repairs your property. Independent shops need reasonable access to service information. Legal replacement parts need to work normally, and a product should not become a paperweight just because the manufacturer stops supporting it. What bothers me is not that cars have more computers or phones have more features. Technology is supposed to help people do more. But when products become smarter while buyers have less and less control, that is not progress to me. One day, the most important question before buying something may no longer be, what can this do? It may become, after I pay for it, what am I still allowed to do with it? Maybe there has never been a year when the auto market looked as sad as it does this year. New cars are expensive, complicated, and constantly making buyers nervous. Old cars are getting harder to find and harder to keep. Electric vehicles are promoted as the future, but they also bring major questions about batteries, software, and repair costs. And now we know the problem does not only affect buyers. Even the mechanics who directly keep these vehicles running are exhausted and leaving one after another. But what makes me saddest is that the people hurt the most are still us buyers who have to borrow money, workers who need cars to get to work, and mechanics who trade their health for pay that may not be fair. Meanwhile, the people at the top of the system seem to remain comfortable and may even be making more money than ever. Maybe the very things causing us headaches are becoming a source of profit for them. What do you think about all of this? Share your story and your opinion below. This channel was created so we can speak honestly about the things advertisements and showrooms do not want to mention.